Listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this joint PointBeyond and Nintex webinar on improving user performance and efficiency with mobile business solutions using SharePoint and Nintex. This is being recorded, and also can I draw everyone's attention to the question panel on the right-hand side of your screens. Do feel free to post any questions as we go through the webinar this afternoon, and we will endeavour to answer them as best we can at the end. Also, this webinar is being recorded, and we will make the recording available afterwards. So just to introduce ourselves, my name is Ian Woodgate. I'm the Managing Director of SharePoint Business Applications Specialist PointBeyond, and I'm joined by Dan Stoll from Nintex. Dan, just want to introduce yourself?
Yep. Hi, everybody. Obviously, my name's Dan Stoll, and I'm a technical evangelist for Nintex for APAC and EMEA out of St James Park in London.
Thank you very much, Dan. So our agenda for today is really quite simple. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the need for business solutions and the benefits of using SharePoint and Nintex to deliver those. Then I'm going to hand over to Dan, who's actually going to be doing quite a long demo and showing you the tools in action. Dan, I believe you've also got an exciting new and bonus demo at the end. Is that right?
Yeah, we'll see how we go for time, but should be able to show you some new features with the upcoming release of Forms.
Excellent. So that should be excellent. And also there'll be a chance for participants to actually interact with the demo as well. So if you've got a tablet or an iPad or even an old school and you've got a PC that you want to make use of, there's going to be a link that we'll be sharing with you, and you'll be able to actually interact with the demo that we're sharing with you today. So the need for solutions and the kind of solutions that we're talking about. So we at PointBeyond actually commissioned some independent research a year or so back, which really identified that most organizations have a backlog of undelivered solutions that they really need, and not having those solutions in place is actually holding businesses back and stopping them achieving what they want to achieve. So in turn, we see that's impacting productivity, accuracy, things like customer satisfaction, and at the end of the day, impacting profitability. So I'm not talking necessarily about replacing packaged software such as your finance package or an ERP system. Maybe more talking about building solutions that complement and integrate with those, and also applications that replace things for which you have nothing in place at all at the moment. So in a lot of organizations, we see a lot of email being passed around, great use of things like Excel and Access, people printing things, filling out forms in paper and scanning them, kind of ad hoc workarounds, that kind of thing. And at the bottom of this slide, I've actually identified some of the typical kind of processes that we help organizations to implement. So it could be things like recording sales, where you've perhaps got a sales team out in the field recording, taking sales from customers, just picking a few here. It could be health and safety hazards, which is actually going to be the basis of the demo that Dan will be showing later on this afternoon. Common one we see a lot of is timesheets and expenses. We've also got things like content publishing, being able to approve things so that they perhaps are made available to your customers through an extranet or an internet site. And the last one I've mentioned here, I've just put directors and CXOs. Directors and CXOs, they particularly like to have information readily available. They like to be able to have an iPad typically that shows them the information that they need and allows them to interact with the systems of the business, perhaps while they're out and about. And we see that a great driver for solutions, in particular mobile solutions. So we've talked about the need for solutions. What I really want to just focus on in the next slide is just to mention why in particular mobile solutions. And the answer is really as follows. With mobile-enabled solutions, you get all the usual benefits such as improved productivity, improved control through being able to automate your processes, better integration, ability to integrate with your existing business solutions, ability to report so you can make better business decisions, greater accuracy, less use of paper. But you also get some additional benefits, which I'll just highlight now. A lot of it focuses around speed. If we can give people access to the applications that they need while they're on the road or out in the field or away from their desk, then processes will typically run faster because people can complete activities more quickly. So we get time savings associated with things like users not having to return to base. If you imagine a mobile-enabled sales team, perhaps out in the field taking customer orders, if they've got to come back, if they've got to fill in paper sheets and then come back to the office at the end of every day and rekey that information, that really slows things down. If they only come into the office every 2 or 3 days, then there's a 2 or 3 day lead time on your orders before you're actually able to fulfill. Then we've also got things like employee expectations and convenience. So your employees and your customers particularly, they have an expectation now that they're going to be able to interact with your business on mobile devices. They expect to be able to come to your website, to be able to submit orders, and to be able to interact with you through their iPads or their Android tablets or their iPhones or their Windows mobile devices, whatever they may have. Also, there's some additional functionality with these devices as well. The ability, as we shall see later on, to take photos from your phone is very powerful. Using the example, again, of health and safety hazard reporting, if somebody's out on site and they're performing inspections, if they can actually take a photo there and then and submit it with the hazard report, then that's really useful information to capture. And lastly, I've already said, we've got this ability for people to access things anytime, anywhere, so people are no longer being constrained to do work at their desks. So this is all great, and the question then becomes, if I want to deliver mobile-enabled solutions to my business, how do I go about delivering them? And the default option that we so often see is that people resort to custom code. And as anyone who's attended any of my sessions before will know, I'm really not a great fan of custom code. It's often the default starting point when a solution is needed. And you ask, why is that? And it's because developers can do anything, right? It kind of seems like an easy tactical solution. We'll just get some developers and then we'll code it up. But there are some real problems with that. Coded solution delivery is very slow. It's risky. We all know of IT projects that have gone off the rails. There's a high total cost of ownership because over time code changes and requirements change. If you need to get changes made to your solution, it's expensive. You've got to get in specialist skills and specialist developers. The original people who write the solution might not be available anymore. And we see this kind of increase in complexity over time, difficulties of maintenance. If it's a SharePoint-based application as well and you want to migrate to a new version of SharePoint, there's this whole kind of question about how are we actually going to migrate our application that's running on SharePoint, perhaps from SharePoint 2010 to SharePoint 2013, or whatever it may be. And even with custom-coded solutions, even just estimating how long they're going to take is something that's prone to error and uncertainty. And again, I'm sure we all know of software projects where the original estimates have turned out to be wildly wrong. So what we really favour and what has great advantages is what we call the no-code approach. And the no-code approach is really just about saying, well, rather than resorting to custom code, what we're going to do is we're actually going to choose appropriate sets of tools and appropriate tooling to deliver our solutions through configuration, not through custom code. And this has a lot of advantages. It's much faster. So typically perhaps 5 or 8 times faster to deliver solutions using this kind of approach rather than through coding. It's also lower risk because we can do things very visually and we can put solutions together very quickly. We can show people as we go. If we need to change things, we can change it very quickly and easily. It's more kind of a visual drag and drop user experience. Also, because we haven't custom coded our solutions, they're much easier to support. And if the business needs to change in the future, we can change those solutions easily. So the argument goes really that the aim should be to try to limit custom coding to functionality that really differentiates what you actually offer and do as a business, because everything else, forms and workflows and reporting, it's all just plumbing, right? And there are tools such as Nintex that you can use to deliver this. and so that you really focus your efforts on delivering real business value. And as I've already mentioned, this isn't about replacing line of business systems. It's more about using these tools to integrate with them. Again, hopefully you're doing that integration without having to resort to writing custom code, and then being able to push and pull information to and from our line of business systems. And this all sounds great, right? But it does require a more strategic approach, because if you don't think strategically, you will tend to just tackle your applications on a one-by-one basis and tend to still go down the custom code route. I've got a little chart which I hope kind of summarizes that quite effectively. And it's a simple concept. It's saying, well, to deliver any benefit, I've got to make some investment. If I go custom code, I perhaps got some applications that I need to deliver. I can get some developers set up. I can get Visual Studio, and I'll end up. I just get the highlighter up. I'll end up round about here when I've got everything set up, and quite quickly and at quite low cost, my developers can start delivering some benefits and start delivering some solutions. So I start tracking up this line here. And that's great, and I'm fairly quickly delivering some business benefit. The no-code approach actually is slightly different, because you're going to have to invest more money up front, because you're going to have to buy the tooling that you're going to have to invest in. Think products like SharePoint, products like Nintex, so there's a greater upfront cost. So you actually start off down here in a worse kind of position. But what always happens is now you've got the tools to really quickly deliver the solutions that you need. So you track up this line here. And the key point, of course, is that these lines always cross. And the question that you need to ask is your organization going to be down here or up here, below or above where the lines cross? In my experience, pretty much everyone always ends up this side of the crossover point. Where you don't want to be, of course, is down here on the blue line, where you've actually ended up spending more money and getting less benefit than if you'd taken the more strategic approach in the first place and invested in the tooling. So that really wraps up what I'm going to say in terms of using tool sets to deliver solutions and the benefits of delivering mobile-enabled solutions. I'm going to hand over to Dan now, who's going to talk a little bit about the benefits of SharePoint and Nintex, and then we'll be moving on to the demo.
Hi, thanks for that, Ian. So I guess just coupling onto what Ian was saying about the whole no-codes approach to this, and the way Nintex can help with this is along the lines of we've got our mobile application, and our mobile application is a part of our Nintex Forms feature set. Now, the way that this can actually work is allows you, because we have multiple devices, you can build your form once within the SharePoint environment, publish that form out, and it's available on multiple devices without having to code an application for the iPhone and an application for Windows 8 and an application for the Windows 8 phone and an application for Android. So normally if a company would go down the whole coding solution, they would pick a device and they would have to run with that particular device and not be able to go across all devices, or they'd have to support four, or 2, 3, 4 different devices, which are all differently coded for. In saying this as well, you've got the benefits of the fast delivery of solutions. Being able to build up your forms quickly and easily, publish the forms, and then them just being available on your mobile applications without having to go through a whole development life cycle of actually getting the applications out on the devices as well, and knowing that it's just secure, and all of the transport that delivers this information to your mobile applications, it's all secured, and it's just you don't have to worry about it at all. And lastly, it's user-friendly. It's something that anybody can do. It's not you don't need a developer to build these forms. You don't need IT pros to build the forms. You can have your business users, your business analysts, your project managers, administrators, managers can build the forms that they need to build and push them out to their staff. It's all based on SharePoint security, so if they don't have access within SharePoint, they won't have access to the forms on the mobile applications. Okay, so just flicking to the next slide, please, on. Okay. Okay. So I'm not going to talk around too much around the slides because essentially what I want to do is actually get into the tools and show you exactly what we have to show you. But essentially what we've got is our mobile application, and the mobile application can surface information not only from Nintex Forms, which is based on your SharePoint lists, but it can also surface your workflow tasks from Nintex Workflow. So anytime you've been assigned a task throughout any workflow within the SharePoint environment, it will actually be displayed within your mobile application, and they are available offline. Because the mobile applications are actually they're a native app for the device, the actual forms and the tasks that get synchronized over to the device are available offline. So when you're traveling on the tube or you're on the train and you've got no coverage, you can still open up your forms, you can still submit information, you can still open up the tasks, you can approve tasks, reject tasks, and submit these off or save them as drafts. And then once you've got a connection back to the network, either wireless or 3G or 4G, whatever it may be, the forms will simply synchronize back to SharePoint by themselves. And this works similar to how Outlook would work offline if you were used to that particular environment. Okay, next slide. Now, with the particular application itself, it has a couple of different ways of going about accessing it. So a number of questions that we get is this available to staff's phones that might be in a situation where it's a user brings their own device, so a BYD sort of install. So you've got some staff with iPhones, some staff with Windows phones, some staff with whatnot, and they don't have access to the SharePoint install within the corporate firewall. So we've got the two ways that you can actually log in to SharePoint or to Nintex Forms via the mobile application, and that's either via the corporate account. So if users can get to the intranet via HTTPS, for example, so it's nice and secure, they can log in just using their AD credentials. Or if you can't get in through the corporate firewall, you can go ahead and associate your Active Directory account with your Microsoft account. So whether it be Outlook.com or Outlook.co.uk or Hotmail.com or a Live.com account, which a number of people have. If you have one of these Microsoft accounts, you can associate your on-premise login, which will then allow users outside of the firewall to actually log in to the application via that mechanism. And we make that quite a simple process for the users to be able to do themselves within the environment of SharePoint. And I can show you quickly how that works as well. For the Windows 8 device, which I'm going to demonstrate today, and we'll also be showing iOS on the iPad as well, is with Windows 8, you've got full functionality to all the device features, whether it be inbuilt camera in a laptop or the sound recording file system. With the uploading of documents, you can upload up to 100 megabytes via the application back into SharePoint. It uses image compression to be able to keep the pipe nice and small. And the application is also designed for touchscreens, so it's quite intuitive and quite nice to use on Windows 8 tablets, for example. We can also leverage off a lot of the Windows 8 functionality, such as the live tiles, lock screens, also the snap screens as well, so you can design forms for the full desktop experience or for just the snap view, which is when you bring off your application off to the side of the screen, and I can show you that a little bit later. It has full integration into the native search engine of Windows 8, and Nintex Zoom, so you can zoom in and out to get highlights, not highlights, sorry, but overview of all of your tasks or your forms by categories, and things like that. So anything that's sort of inbuilt into the native device, we can leverage because they are native applications. Next slide.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, so this is just a quick snapshot of what Windows 8 looks like, and what I'll do is I'll actually go ahead and show you all this stuff anyway. So we'll just go to the next slide, and the next slide will show the My Tasks view. So the My Tasks view, it allows you to see all of your tasks that have been assigned to you. You can open these up. You can categorize them out by when they were assigned or when they're due by. When you're not connected, obviously, as it says here on the slide, and as I was saying before, you can open up these because they are synchronized to the device. You're not opening them off SharePoint. So you can open them up, respond to them, and they'll sync when you've got a connection again. And on that, I think we'll jump into the demonstration. And actually, I think there's one more slide to the truth. Yep, one more slide, just to give you an overview of what
there's quite a delay, I think, Dan.
Yep, I've got the slide now. Okay, so what we're going to show you today is just a simple demonstration of hazard reporting. Now, this is something that's quite common across most verticals, whether it be a construction site where you might be, you have got your occupational health and safety officers reporting on hazards around a building site, or it could be a simple matter of a corporate office and you have hazard reporting such as slippery floors or chips in the concrete, or there might be falling bricks from the wall. It could be a rip in the carpet. It could be a trip hazard, for example. It's a quick and easy win, and it's something that is quite relevant to a lot of companies, and I've seen this particular solution being rolled out to quite a number of businesses as well. And I can show you how quickly you can roll these out without really needing to hinder the IT departments greatly, without having to tie up the developers, leave them doing proper good development work, and being able to roll these out nice and easy and quick. So let's jump over into my screen here. Okay. So just give me the nod, Ian, when you can see my screen.
Yep, we're all good, Dan.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so what I've got here is an out-of-the-box SharePoint 2013 team site, and I've got a custom list called Hazard Register, and on this particular list I've got a number of columns here, and what I'm going to do now is just quickly show you how you would go about building out this particular Nintex form to start with, and then how we go about getting this into the mobile applications. And also I'll just give you a quick heads up of the workflow that's sitting in behind this as well, and how this all interacts in together to complete the solution. So first of all, let's go into Nintex Forms. So going over into the ribbon up, I can select Nintex Forms. What this does is it goes off and looks at the content type on the particular SharePoint list and finds out, okay, what columns are here. It then uses a template which can be modified to suit the company with your own color schemes and logos and whatnot, and then it will automatically build out the form for me. So I've currently built out my form. Now I can go ahead here and change any of these particular features that I might want to do. For example, I might just want to bold this text, for example, and save that, and I can do that there. It's all drag and drop. It's all nice and simple and easy to use. I can shrink and remove things. If I want to place other controls on here, such as a people picker, I can simply move some fields around and drag and drop a new field on here as well, and associate that to a field in my Nintex, into my SharePoint list, sorry. But that's a discussion for another time. So what I'm going to do is go back into here, just set that back like that. And okay, so this is my desktop. This is my desktop Windows, sorry, my web form. So this is the form. When I publish this will be available for users to use. So I'll just go ahead and publish this out. And essentially, this is now going live into my environment. So we just wait for that to go through. Okay, all done. Close that. Okay, so now when I go into my SharePoint list, I can select my new item, and instead of getting the out-of-the-box SharePoint list form, I've now got my my graphically pleasing form. Now that's overly simplified. There's quite a number of things you can do with Nintex Forms, such as conditional rules and formatting. You can use JavaScript and jQuery to modify information and data, but they're all discussions for another time. So there we have, we've got our form and it's all good. So I'm just going to cancel that and we'll go back into the designer. And I'll show you how now we can actually get this out to our mobile application. So now going back into here, you might see across the top we've got layouts. Now what these layouts are different, I guess different layouts for the same form. So now we've built our list. It's a single point of truth. Now I want to go ahead and I want to create a smartphone version of this particular form. Now this smartphone version is a web-based, so I need to be connected to the internet to be able to open this form. So this will open up and it will render quite nicely on an iPhone or a Windows 8 phone or an Android phone, for example. And if I wanted to go ahead and create other ones, or I wanted to create a layout for a particular phone, I can come in here and do that as well. But what we're here to do is actually we're here to see the mobile application. So what I've got two other layouts here. I've got Nintex Mobile Tablet and Nintex Mobile Phone. So clicking on the Nintex Mobile Phone, this gives me a mobile phone rendered view. Now you can see all the graphics and the colors have all been stripped out. Now that's because it's a native application, it doesn't have any need for the colors and the CSS that drives those color schemes on the web forms, because the formatting and the look and feel of the actual form is provided by the application on the device. So there's my my form for the phones, and this is a catch-all. So this form will open up on all the mobile sort of the rendered views for mobile devices, and the Nintex tablet view is obviously you've got a lot more real estate to play with. Now this is also the view that you would get with Windows 8. So obviously if I was only designing this for a Windows 8 application, I could actually stretch this out further because I would have a lot more screen space than a tablet, for example. Now I've got my tablet view here. It's all done from top to bottom, and I'm happy with that formatting. That's exactly what I wanted. And now I'm pretty right to publish this out and have a go at it. So let's publish this out. I can see here that I've got my different layouts. So it's telling me here that I've got a desktop, Nintex mobile tablet, smartphone, and an Nintex mobile phone layouts. So I'm just going to go publish that again. Okay, now what's this? And before I go off and show you the applications, let's just fill in a form here. So location is the foyer. So rip in the carpet near the front door. Visitors to the office. And we can choose a different type of hazard type here. I'm going to go with a general type hazard. How long has it been here? I've only noticed it today, so I'm just going to put in 1 day. None as yet. Okay, excellent. And now if I had, if I had a camera with me, I could sync up those photos, and I could attach a photo here to put onto the report. And I could save that, and it goes off and does its thing. Now this is actually going to fire off a workflow now. See my workflow is in progress. I can go to the workflow history, check this out. Open up the workflow, and we can see here that my workflow has gone off. I've gone to the review managers to see who the particular review manager is for that particular hazard type, and it's gone off to get more information about this particular hazard. So let's just go back into here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is open up the Windows 8 application. So I'm just going to go to my desktop, and you should see my Windows 8 desktop here. And I'm going to go ahead and open up Nintex Mobile. Now I'm currently logged into my mobile application via my corporate account, so I can go into settings, up into account info, and you can see my account information here. I can also sign out if I wanted to and log in any other way. You've got in here, you come in, you've got different options to be able to choose, such as using metered networks. Now the way this works is that the application, as you can see here, has a syncing period, so you can have it on manual 15, 30 or 60 minutes. By default it's every 15 minutes. It'll go ahead and synchronize the forms to make sure they're the latest forms, for example. Now you might not want this to synchronize when you're on your 3G or 4G connection due to data limits or something along those lines, or it just could be incredibly slow. So you can say, okay, don't use over metered networks, only use when I'm connected via wireless, for example. Going back into here, we can also have permissions to say, okay, yes, I allow this application to be able to use my webcam and location and lock screen and notifications. Okay, so we'll go back into our app, and I'm going to go to my forms, and here are my forms, and here's my hazard register, and you can see this one's actually got a bit of a pretty picture, and I can show you how that all happens in just a second. But let's open up our form, and here's the form that I just published from SharePoint. So we can now go ahead and fill this particular form in. So we've got a new issue now, and this particular issue might be the location might be the coffee room. Spilled coffee, and might be just a bit. I've got a sore back, so I can't mop it up myself. So I'm going to spilled coffee. Who might be harmed? All staff. We'll go with this. Yep, it's another general type hazard. How long's it been here? Ooh, about 20 minutes. Current, no action taken. Now, what I can do now I'm on a device. So now I'm actually on a laptop at the moment. But if I had, say, my tablet with me, I can now go ahead and actually go attach up into here onto camera, and I can take a photo of the actual spill on the floor. So you just got a photo of my ugly face. We can now go ahead and crop this down a little bit to make sure we get the spill just right. Now this is just using Windows 8 device. This is nothing that we've had to do specially. Now, just selecting on Open now, that attaches it directly to the form. So that's fantastic. Now we're good to go. I can go off and submit this, or I might just wait 5 minutes. So I'm just going to park this. I'm just going to save it over into my drafts. Now I can actually close out of here now, go back in and do something else, come back to this form later. Okay, so I'm actually ready to submit that off now. So let's go back into Nintex Mobile. We're going to go back into our drafts, and the one I just did here. What's the time? Be this one, is it? No, not that one. Let's delete that draft because that's not the one I was using. This one, there we go.
It was
the one
the
I was
top
after.
one.
Yep, there we go. So there's my draft that I just filled in, and we're ready to submit that off. So I'm just going to submit that off. Now, because I am actually connected to the network, this will shoot off pretty quickly, and off it goes. It's off. It's been sent off. Okay, great. So that's been sent off, and Nintex Mobile, because I've allowed it to notify me of different things, it's just told me that my tasks have been updated. So I've actually got 2 cups here, and that's 2 tasks, not cups, sorry. Now this is because my workflow is actually assigning the tasks to me because I'm the review manager for any hazard that's deemed as a general hazard. So here are my 2 tasks that have been assigned to me in the actual workflow, and they've sunk across to my app. So I can now open these tasks up. Right, and there's the picture that was associated to the form, so I can open that up if I wanted to and have a look. The risk evaluation, all good, has been cleaned. Ongoing risk, no. Severity, very low. Doesn't need a review, and I'm just going to submit that off, and that's done. So what I can do now, I'll just close out of this, go back into desktop. I'll just refresh my screen here, and you'll see that my SharePoint list is all updated. So this particular workflow that I just approved, just sent back information from my application, has all been updated. And the FOIA one, which I haven't approved yet, is still in progress because it's all still there. So that's just a quick overview of that. What we want to do now is show you how it can also work on the iPad as well. We're not just Microsoft-centric, I guess. So what we've got coming out, currently we have Windows 8 application. We've got iOS 4 and above, so it works on iPad, iPod, and iPhone. The iPad version is slightly different purely because you've got more real estate to play with, so the application allows for that real estate. So there's 2 different apps between the iPhone and iPad. In November, you'll see a Windows 8 phone application being deployed out to the Windows Store. And early next year, around the February timeframe, there will be an Android application as well. So it'll be design the form once, publish it to a layout, and it will be available across all 4 device platforms. So with that, I think we should be able to cross now to Simon, who's going to demonstrate submitting a form on the iPad back into this same environment. Now Simon's actually connected in via the Microsoft account, so he's not connected to my corporate network whatsoever that I have set up here.
Thanks very much, Dan. If someone could give me control, I'll share my desktop with you guys. Dan, do you still have control of the... oh, here we go. That's a bit slow. Right, okay. So let's just share my second monitor. We're going to use a little app called AirServer, which is a very good way of sharing our iOS demonstrations. And what you can see is that hopefully you'll see the desktop on my iPad. You'll see Nintex Mobile sat there on the desktop as an app on my iPad. So if I click on this Nintex Mobile app, what we're going to do is we're going to get it opening up in portrait view, and this is one of the advantages of having different apps for different devices. So if I rotate my my iPad, what you should see is that we make full use of the real estate for the iPad, and we get a nice landscape view, quite similar to where you're using native email in iPads, and you get the email down the left and you get the preview on the right hand side. So you'll see that we've got the same sort of stuff that we had on the Windows 8 app. You'll see we've got my tasks. I haven't got anything in there at the moment, so obviously I've been far too efficient recently. We've got a list of forms, and what you'll see in there is you'll see the hazard register form, which your screens are updated, and you'll see a little hard hat icon there. While I'm on actually, Dan, there was one I was filling out earlier and a phone call came in and I saved as a draft, which was another hazard risk. So I might just jump in there and submit that whilst I'm on. So we'll go into this. So there's a parcel delivery, someone's left them on the stairs. I'm quite a tall guy and you know what they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So let me submit that. You'll notice that it jumps down to the outbox. It's going to be a little slower than Dan's because I'm not connected. I'm connected on a 3G connection out and about. You'll see it sits in the outbox and at some point shortly that will sync up and send into and sync up with SharePoint. What I want to do now is, while that's busy doing that, let's fill out a new form. Let's fill out a new hazards register. I want to show you the integration with the iOS and the camera. So let me have a look. We're going to have there's another trip hazard. I've been busy recording various training videos the last few days, and I seem to have caused a terrible trip hazard in my working environment, so I'm going to just report that. I'm going to say that's a physical hazard. How long has it been there? It's been there 2 days. Any action taken? Some recording. Not sure that's really what they're looking for. External email. Right. Excellent. And similar to the Windows 8 application, you see we can select attachments. And what I'm going to do is use my iPad to add that attachment. And let's do it from camera. And what you should see is I've created a really bad tripping hazard. So let me just take a quick snap of that. Chances of me lasting the day without breaking my neck, slim to none, I think. So let's use that. And you'll see that automatically attaches straight from the camera, or I could have picked from the media library if I've got some images already on my iPad. Okay, so that looks good to me. We've got the attachment. We've got that as a trip hazard, so let me just submit that. Again, that will sit in my outbox. As soon as I'm able to sync, it will send off the information. It will sync up with the SharePoint list. Again, if I click on settings, you'll see similar thing to what we saw with the Windows 8. A lot of thought's gone into how, use of cellular data, for example, so we can choose not to get stung by heavy data usage and that kind of stuff. And my outbox is clear. And I think, Dan, should we sync back to you?
Yep.
And have a little look on what's going on with SharePoint.
Okay. Alright, so just give it a couple of seconds for my desktop to show up. And let's refresh my page here. And there we've got Simon's jobs that have come in via the internet. So they've come in via Nintex Live, which is all hosted on Microsoft Azure. They've come in through my corporate firewall and jumped into my hazard register to be processed. Now we've got with the physical review manager here, so Simon will actually be receiving tasks back on his iPad as well. So the way that the actual registration, sorry, was that Simon?
So I'm just saying I've got those tasks through now. Apparently I need to clean up those cables. So.
Very good. Okay, so earlier I was just saying that how you can go about associating your account with a Microsoft account, and it is quite simple. So essentially you go up into the menu where your username is, you go to Nintex Mobile Apps, and you go Register with Nintex Live. You select on this. Now this will actually come up and tell me that, hey, I'm already registered. But if this wasn't associated here, it would present me with a login screen where I can put in my Microsoft account. It will then do the association for me, and that's essentially all that needs to happen. So it's not overly complex to do. It's actually quite simple to do. Now, as far as the rest of the hazard register demo is concerned, that's pretty much it. So if there are any questions, please put them over in the question box. And while I've got my screen up and we continue on with the slide deck, what I'll just show you is something that's coming out with Nintex Forms in the next release, which will be approximately 5 to 6 weeks away. And that's something we've been working on for a while now, and we're quite excited about. And that's being able to leverage off the devices, GPSs, for example. And also, even within the web forms, being able to use your laptop and the wireless networks to be able to, to find out, locations, for example. So you might be designing a form that requires the user to be able to have a pinpointed location using a latitude and longitude address that can be then plotted onto a map at a high level view, so you can have multiple pins on a map to see all open hazard reports, I guess, around a construction site. You might want to see all open jobs, or it could be a case of I want to see where all my projects are. So every project could have a latitude and longitude address, so you can see where all the projects are on a map. So let's just go ahead here quickly and open up this particular form. Now this form is one, for example, that could be for a council or a county, where they've got their field staff and they're out walking around the town. I've just seen a fallen tree, and I need the team back at the head office to send out some guys with chainsaws and a mulcher to come and clean this up. Fallen tree near the oval. Need chainsaw and truck. Okay, so I don't need to put in the street number or anything like that. Now it's the landscaping, so I can have a workflow sitting in the background of this to it'll see that I've flagged landscaping, and that'll then associate a task to go off to that landscaping team to respond to this particular one. What I can do now is go, okay, I'm actually on the scene right now, so I'm just going to go use my location, and it's going to grab my latitude and longitude. I can just click on the little map here, and this will just double check the map. And currently I'm actually sitting in Australia, and this is actually showing you where I'm sitting right now, which is in a little city just outside of Melbourne, in Ballarat. So that's just showing you right there. So that's good. Yep, that's exactly where I want to be. And obviously I could then attach a photo to that as well. I can go ahead and save this. Now this is going to my list. I can now go into here, click on my map, and that'll show me where my map is. Now this is a functionality of SharePoint 2013 that we're leveraging. What I can't show you at the moment is how this will work with the mobile device, but similarly with the mobile device, it'll be like the attach button. There'll be a button there to say get my location. It will use the device GPS to actually get your latitude and longitude, store it into your form, and then that information can come back into your SharePoint list, where then you can do something with it. So that's something that we're pretty excited about, and will be coming out in the next version in a matter of weeks' time. Okay, so on that, we'll click back over to Ian.
Thank you very much, Dan. I do love that. It's very cool. Right, if I just share my screen. Dan, can you just make me a presenter, please?
Yeah. There we go.
Thank you very much. Okay, so just wrapping up then, really. So one of the things we've done is we've actually published that form that Dan prepared earlier and made it publicly accessible. So on your screens now, you should be able to see the URL. If you take an iPad or even a PC and visit that address, you should actually be able to participate in the interactive bit of this demo and actually fill in the hazard report. And if you put in your email address at the end, the system will actually, the workflow that we've produced will actually send an email back to you as well. So that will be available after this session as well. So please do go and have a play. So just to summarize then, we've looked at how we can very quickly use tools like SharePoint and Nintex to very quickly build our no-code mobile-enabled solutions. I've talked about the benefits of delivering those kind of solutions. I think one of the really great things that I really like about Nintex is that actually you can build and design these forms and you can publish them out to people to fill them in over the internet using their mobile devices, and you don't, with Nintex Live, you don't even need to have changes made to your firewalls. You have no scary holes opened up inbound into your corporate network to do this, and I think that's a really good selling point. And we talked about the business benefits associated with delivering these kind of solutions. That really is it from Dan and myself now. We're now going to move on to the questions, and if anyone would like to post any questions, we will. I see we've got a few already. We shall endeavour to answer them. Otherwise, thank you very much everyone for attending. So Dan, are you okay to take some questions now?
Yep, sure.
Excellent. So I'm just going to bring up the first question, which is, it's gone very small. It's gone very small for some reason on my screen. Hello Dan, you said that Nintex Forms is hosted in Microsoft Azure, so you need SharePoint and Nintex hosted there, in addition to an on-premise SharePoint and Nintex installation.
No. So what's actually hosted in Microsoft Azure is our product called Nintex Live, and Nintex Live is a cloud-based solution that comes as part of the software assurance with either Nintex Workflow or Nintex Forms. What Nintex Forms is, Nintex Forms for SharePoint 2013 or 2010, is it installs on-prem as a normal third-party app would. You can then choose to publish your forms to Microsoft Azure if you wish for those forms to be available offline. So, for example, that URL you can see on the screen right there is a form that I designed. It's essentially the hazard form that I just showed you a second ago, and I've also chosen to publish that to Nintex Live, which is hosted on Azure. Now that's all covered as part. There's no extra cost involved with that. As far as the authentications is concerned, Nintex Live also provides our mechanism to allow the authentication from the mobile applications to go back into your on-premise installs should you not have a direct connection back in via HTTPS or anything like that. So essentially, no data is stored in Microsoft Azure. It's purely just the form. You fill in the form. That's then the data is then encrypted, sent to Microsoft SQL, where then it waits for your on-premise SharePoint server to query the service. The information then is pulled back into on-premise and it's discarded off to Azure. It's not actually stored anywhere in Azure at all.
So Dan, would I be right in saying then that really we could just describe Nintex Live as a gateway sitting between the end client and your on-premise SharePoint and Nintex installation?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the fact that it's running on Azure is pretty much irrelevant. You could have chosen to run that on Amazon if you wanted to.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Azure is essentially just where we have it sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another question, Dan, which is the hazard reporting demo. How long did that take to build?
So the list itself took approximately 5 minutes to build. The form that I showed you was the stock standard default. I actually made no modifications to that form whatsoever. So the form actually took approximately 1 minute or 2 minutes to build. And then clicking on the layouts, another 2 or 3 minutes. Publishing it out to the applications is automatic. So all up, approximately 15 minutes to build the forms. And then around 15-20 minutes to build the workflow that sits in behind it. So all up around an hour, a little bit under. That's for the forms and workflow.
That's very nice, isn't it? That you compare how long that would take to custom code.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Okay. Another question is this the same for SharePoint 2010 as SharePoint 2013?
Yeah, sure. So Nintex Mobile is available for both versions. So Nintex Mobile essentially is a feature of Nintex Forms. It's not a added extra cost to Nintex Forms, but it is available to both SharePoint 2010 and 2013.
Great stuff. That's the end of the questions, Dan. So unless anyone has any further questions for either Dan or myself, I think we shall wrap up now. So I'll just give a couple of seconds, see if anyone would like to pose any more questions. If not, just to reiterate, we have recorded this session. We will be sending out a link to the recording shortly after this session. So no more questions, Dan. So Dan and also Simon, thank you very much for your help today. Thank you everyone for attending, and I hope you've found it a very useful session.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks everyone.
Cheers, Ian.